We are reading chapters 12 and 13 in Ben Yokoyama and the Cookie of Doom by Matthew Swanson and Robbie Bear.
Welcome back to Ben Yokoyama and the Cookie of Doom by Matthew Swanson and Robbie Bear. This is the Cookie Chronicles Book 1, and we are on to chapter 12. They went back inside and sat side by side on the big blue chair, exhausted but delighted. "Are we done?" asked Ben. "Is there anything left?" Said Janet. Ben could see another big thought brewing. "Oh," said Janet with a look that was big but also sad. "What?" asked Ben. He was worried. "I just remembered something I absolutely have to do if this is my last day." "What is it?" Janet didn't answer. Instead, she popped up from the chair and marched upstairs. Ben marched right behind her. She walked down the hall to her bedroom, opened the bottom dresser drawer, and pulled out a stack of the most unfortunate sweaters Ben had ever seen. "Aunt Lupita made them," Janet explained when she saw Ben's face. "I have to keep them for when she visits. Luckily, that doesn't happen very often." "Is she visiting today?" "She's not," said Janet, who was acting like her mind was orbiting a planet that was dingy and damp. Next, Janet pulled out a bag that contained some sort of craft project. Ben saw yarn and a pattern and a very strange tool. "What is that?" Janet sat on the floor and opened the bag. "A latch hook rug kit." "See the latch hook right there?" Ben had heard of latch hook rugs, but had never actually seen one. "Wow," he said instead of saying, "This is strange and entirely unexpected." Janet had never seemed like the crafty sort. "Wow, what?" "Well, wow, I didn't know you did latch hook," said Ben. It was a true statement. "I don't," said Janet, the way a person might say, "It wasn't me." But it is clear that someone in the room has tooted. Ben was confused and didn't know what to say. Luckily, Janet kept talking. "I don't do latch hook very often because I don't particularly enjoy it." "Look at," she said with the weary expression of someone who has been treading water for 15 minutes and is starting to sink. Ben was baffled. "But this could be the last day of your life. Why would you spend it doing something you don't?" "I can really use your help," said Janet before Ben could finish his question. "There's still a long way to go." Ben looked at the rug. Maybe a third of it was done. "You need to finish it today?" "I do," said Janet with her we'd get done a lot faster if you stopped asking questions and started helping face. "How does it work?" Ben asked. Janet showed him how to use a strange little hook on a handle to attach a piece of yarn to a stiff grid that was kind of like a window screen. And if you look down here, you can see the hook and the latch making a loop around the canvas. "Here's a picture of what it will look like," said Janet, holding up a piece of paper that showed a bouquet of blue flowers in a bright orange vase. "Forget-me-nots." Janet made a face like she'd recently cut an onion, but she swallowed hard and kept going. "And here's the key." Janet held up a different piece of paper with a grid of tiny squares arranged in the shape of the rug. The squares contain letters. Y is for yellow, B is for blue, G is for green, BR is for brown, and so on. That's how you know which color to use. "Makes sense," said Ben. "Looks like they're going to be making a latch hook rug. I'll start on this side and you start on that side. With any luck, we'll finish it by the time my mom gets home." Well, it wasn't hard. It was actually kind of fun. Ben was really getting the hang of it when he saw something terrible through Janet's bedroom window. I wonder what it is. Chapter 13. What Ben saw was the blue car. It was driving down Janet's street, which meant it would soon turn left and then left again before driving down Ben's street. And then it would park in Ben's driveway, which led to the garage, which was attached to a house that contained a living room that had not been vacuumed. Ben needed to get home fast. Janet understood. "Go," she said. "I've got this." Do you remember who drove the blue car? Ben looked down at the rug. They had made a good start, but there were so many squares left to fill. I'll come back as soon as I can. Thanks, said Janet. Now go. Ben went. He thought about how close his house actually was, right on the other side of the fence. More than ever, he blamed Janet's yard for not having an oak tree. He had no choice but to go all the way around the block. And so Ben ran. He ran by the blue house that belonged to the Littles and the yellow house that had been for sale for a really long time. Ahead was the orange house that belonged to Mr. Hagenweff, who had once won a prize for having a hedge that was perfectly rectangular. Mr. Hagenweff was extremely proud of it. Ben thought about his list. Jump over Mr. Hagenweff's prize-winning hedge. The H looked like a W. Anyway, so here's Janet's house. Okay, there's the other houses, and here's Mr. Hagenweff's with his hedge that's in a perfect rectangular shape. Ben thought about the hedge as he ran. It was not especially tall, nor was it particularly short. It was pretty much the perfect height for a satisfying challenge. Ben was an excellent jumper. He'd already jumped over a large dog and a medium-sized mountain bike and an extremely small pony. Wow, that surprised me. He'd already jumped over a large... Mr. Hagenweff's hedge would probably be the highest thing he had ever jumped over, but Ben had no doubt that he could do it. In fact, he was sure he could. Oh, I just have a bad feeling about this. The only reason he hadn't done it already was that Mr. Hagenweff was almost always standing in his yard scowling, and Mr. Hagenweff's scowl was a thing worse than nightmares. But as Ben approached the orange house, it seemed like the coast was clear. Mr. Hagenweff was nowhere to be seen. Oh, let's hope. So Ben changed course and headed straight for the hedge. He broke into an all-out sprint. Look at him. He is concentrated. He thinks he knows for sure he can do it. This is big, thought Ben. This is the moment I've been waiting for. He was just a few feet from the hedge when Mr. Hagenweff stepped out from behind a tall flowering bush holding a watering can. His grouchy cat, Lovely, was standing there beside him, scowling. Yeah! Ben yelped. It was not a brave sound. Hey, hi there, Mr. Hagenweff, he said next, trying his best to sound calm and under control as he changed course without breaking his stride. Instead of leaping over the prize-winning hedge, ran right past it. Mr. Hagenweff never stopped scowling as his eyes traced Ben's path across the yard and down the block. When he rounded the corner, Ben stopped and took a deep breath. He felt like someone who had just outrun a tornado. Look at him. I am lucky to be alive, thought Ben. Who knew my last day would be so dangerous? Ben took out his lift. Jump over Mr. Hagenweff's prize-winning hedge. Ben thought about erasing it. There was no rule that he had to finish everything on his list, but he decided not to give up. There was still so much of his last day left. Look at his face. Which reminded him, the blue car! Ben started to sprint. The only scowl worse than Mr. Hagenweff's belonged to his mom. And that's chapter 14, where we are stopping for today.
You'll want to read the other books in this series, in the Ben Yokoyama series, and here they are. Here are other books written by Matthew Swanson. If you like this book, you might want to try one of these. The Engineers, The 13-Story Treehouse, The Dork Diaries, Stick Dog, Stick Cat, also, The Terrible 2, Alvin Ho, Popularity Papers, Nerds, and Bad Kitty.